In this case, we're not dealing with the smartest person in the world. We know that from all the things we've seen. Seriously, she's not.
Yeah.
You know, she's nice and she's smart. And I mean, she can get along in the world by herself, you know, but she doesn't know those things, all the intricacies of society, of the social norms and things you should and shouldn't do. She doesn't know those.
One of the passages in the book talks about Meghan's presence at the Invictus Games, because we saw Meghan marching in front of the athletes. We saw Meghan trying to merch and make it about her and not even supporting the merch of the Invictus Games. We saw how the stories that were headlined were more about Meghan and what she was doing rather than supporting the veterans.
Why Meghan?
Well, because she posed a challenge to the royal family, and she's a fascinating person. I mean, she's a person who started from nothing and has become a world global star, and that route to the top has never really been properly reported and examined and investigated.
Meghan Markle moves a veteran's wheelchair without their permission, and I remember seeing this and dying a little inside at the time. Last year, around February of last year, Meghan faced criticism after moving an Invictus Game attendee's wheelchair during a Team Canada event. And the clip shared online, you know, you see her just kind of like grab this person's chair and reposition them for this group photo. And Scott, I'll be honest, I don't think I would have noticed anything about this had other people in the disability community raised concern. I saw some people saying like a wheelchair is an extension of someone's personal space. Yeah, you should never move without consent.
It's official, Meghan Markle is now selling Lili. We knew this was coming. She's doing it against Prince Harry's wishes. Oh, and by the way, she's doing it after Ted Sarandos, her great mate from Netflix, unfollowed her on Instagram.
Netflix is reportedly done with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. That is reporting from Variety, one of the 3 big industry newspapers in Hollywood that everybody reads, that even previously had Meghan Markle on the cover as if shining a beacon to go, Meghan is here in Hollywood.
You don't do that sort of thing in a company, you know, where you're having a meeting over Zoom and somebody tells you something that you don't like and you simply walk out of the room. And then your PR people are trying to fool the world that it's because you are a hands-on mother. I mean, ridiculous.
Tom Bower just dropped what may be the most damaging book yet about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and Meghan's response only made the fallout louder. Instead of ignoring it, her team came out swinging, calling the book a deranged conspiracy and pushing that message through major publications. But rather than shutting the story down, the backlash gave it even more oxygen and helped turn it into a bigger event almost overnight.
The Sussexes, Harry and Meghan, know that they have been rumbled. That is the only explanation behind their truly deranged statement, suggesting that Tom Bower is somehow a conspiracy theorist.
And that is only part of what makes this moment so revealing. During the very same week, Bower's book was exposing what he says was really happening behind the scenes at the Invictus Games. And while Netflix insiders were reportedly telling Variety that the Sussex brand was losing momentum and becoming difficult to manage,
it is so apparent to the public, to the people who buy and read newspapers, that Meghan Markle is a relentless fraud. She is a total phony. She is a study in artifice. She is vicious, nasty, poisonous, and basically, one could even say evil.
Meghan quietly posted an Instagram video featuring her 4-year-old daughter while promoting a luxury flower product worth around $300. When you put all of that together, the timing feels impossible to ignore. Some people watching this already know the background, while others may be hearing these details for the first time. But either way, the pattern is what matters. When every piece lands at once, a book launch, bad press, insider complaints, and carefully timed lifestyle content, it starts to paint a picture of where things may really stand for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex right now. And it is not exactly the polished image they usually try to project, Before getting into what Bauer actually claims in the book, it is worth understanding why his work gets attention in the first place. Tom Bauer is not some random internet voice chasing gossip for clicks. He is a longtime British investigative journalist with more than 25 books to his name. And over the years, he has built a reputation for digging into powerful people, following paper trails, and writing books that make headlines for a reason. He has written about major political figures, business leaders, and members of the royal family, including a highly critical book about King Charles long before Charles became king. That is why people pay attention when Bauer takes on a subject. His earlier book on Harry and Meghan, Revenge, became an international #1 bestseller back in 2022, even though it was heavily criticized by their supporters. This new book, Betrayal, Power, Deceit, and the Fight for the Future of the Royal Family, was already attracting interest before release. But what made this launch especially striking was how quickly Meghan's camp appeared to move against it. That alone suggested they understood it had the potential to land hard. What also sets this book apart is Bauer's reporting style. He did not just sit behind a desk and make calls from London. According to the reporting around the book, he actually traveled to Vancouver and attended the 2025 Invictus Games himself. He was there in person, watching events unfold, observing the atmosphere, and speaking with people connected to the event. That matters, because it means at least part of what he wrote was shaped by direct observation, not just secondhand sourcing. And here is the detail that really says a lot. Meghan's supporters reportedly spotted Bauer at the event and began warning others online that he was there. They knew he was watching, they knew he was gathering material, and they clearly understood that what happened at Invictus could become part of a much bigger story. In the end, it did. That matters because the Invictus Games were never supposed to be about celebrity image. Harry founded them in 2014 to honor wounded, injured, and sick servicemen and women from around the world. The whole purpose was to center veterans, people who had sacrificed deeply and were fighting their way forward. That is what made Invictus powerful in the first place, and that is exactly why claims that the spotlight may have shifted away from the competitors and toward the Sussex brand hit so hard. So what exactly does Tom Bauer claim he saw? According to his account, one of the most striking moments came during a wheelchair basketball match, one of the central events of the Invictus Games. Despite the significance of the competition and the level of preparation from the athletes involved, he reports that attendance was unexpectedly low, with only a small number of paying spectators present in the arena. That detail on its own raises questions, but what follows is what has drawn the most attention. Bauer alleges that, in response to the sparse turnout, event organizers gathered additional people and positioned them strategically near Prince Harry and Meghan. The goal, he suggests, was to create the appearance of a fuller, more enthusiastic crowd in photographs and media coverage, even if that did not reflect the overall reality inside the venue. If accurate, that kind of staging carries broader implications. Because the Invictus Games were designed to highlight the achievements and resilience of injured service members, not to serve as a backdrop for carefully managed optics. The athletes are meant to be the focus, and any suggestion that attention was being redirected elsewhere has understandably become a point of criticism. Bauer's reporting also includes comments from individuals described as former executives connected to the 2025 Games. According to his account, they expressed concern about the direction of the event, specifically pointing to what they felt was a growing imbalance in attention. Their view, as presented in the book, was that the spotlight had shifted too far toward Meghan and away from the competitors themselves. That perception is central to the argument Bauer is making. He frames it as a transformation of the event's purpose, suggesting that something originally built around service and recovery risked becoming increasingly tied to personality and image. It is a strong claim, and one that has sparked debate about whether the games have changed over time or whether this is simply a matter of interpretation. The opening ceremony is another moment he highlights. According to his description, Harry and Meghan made an entrance that stood out visually, arriving through the venue in a way that drew attention and prompted a noticeable reaction from the crowd. Supporters would likely see that as enthusiasm and recognition, while critics argue it reinforced the idea that the focus was shifting toward the couple rather than the competitors. And that contrast is what sits at the center of the discussion. On one side, you have an event built to honor individuals who have endured extraordinary challenges. On the other, you have the realities of modern media, where visibility, branding, and presentation inevitably shape how events are experienced and remembered. Another moment Bauer highlights is one that circulated widely online. In footage from the event, Meghan is seen briefly repositioning a veteran's wheelchair without any visible verbal exchange beforehand. On the surface, it may appear minor, but for many viewers, particularly those with medical experience or lived familiarity with mobility aids, it raised concerns about awareness and boundaries. Because a wheelchair is not simply an object in the background. For the person using it, it is part of how they move, function, and maintain independence. Healthcare professionals and veterans who commented on the clip emphasized a basic principle that is widely understood in those communities. You do not touch or move someone's wheelchair without asking first. That reaction is what gave the moment weight. Not necessarily because of intent, which is difficult to determine from a short clip, but because of how it was perceived by those who understand the significance of that boundary. At an event like Invictus, where many participants rely on mobility equipment, expectations around sensitivity and awareness are naturally higher. Bauer's book also raises a separate issue that has generated discussion, particularly around competition structure. He references questions about whether athletes with different types of injuries and levels of mobility competing together in certain events creates challenges around fairness. This is a complex topic, especially in adaptive sports, where classifications are designed to balance inclusion with competitive equity. It is important to separate that discussion from broader misunderstandings. Acknowledging concerns about competitive structure is not the same as dismissing invisible injuries such as PTSD. Both issues are real, but they exist in different categories. One relates to how sports are organized, while the other relates to the recognition and treatment of serious psychological conditions. How Meghan's team responded to the book has also become part of the story. A spokesperson issued a strong statement criticizing Bauer, describing his work as crossing from criticism into fixation and characterizing his claims in highly dismissive terms. The language was direct and left little room for neutrality. The reaction, however, had an unintended effect. Within hours of that statement gaining attention, Bauer's book rose sharply in online sales rankings, drawing even more public interest. This kind of outcome is often associated with what is known as the Streisand effect, where attempts to suppress or discredit information can end up amplifying it instead. Bauer himself responded publicly, noting that the criticism had increased visibility for his work. Whether one agrees with his conclusions or not, the exchange highlights a broader pattern that has been observed in recent years. Critical reporting from various outlets has frequently been met with strong pushback, often framed as biased or agenda-driven. And yet, despite the repeated pushback, similar criticisms continue to surface across different outlets, often citing multiple sources and appearing in both US and UK publications. That pattern has led some observers to question whether dismissing every report as unfounded is an effective response, or whether it risks drawing even more attention to the claims themselves. The timing of recent events has only added to that discussion. In mid-March 2026, just days after excerpts of Bauer's book began circulating and shortly after reports emerged about changes in Netflix's relationship with the Sussex brand, Meghan shared a new video on social media. The post was presented as a behind-the-scenes glimpse into her lifestyle brand, showing her arranging flowers outside her Montecito home. The video itself appeared warm and informal. It included brief appearances from her children, with one moment showing a short interaction before they moved out of frame. The overall tone was designed to feel personal and unfiltered, offering what looked like a candid look into her daily life, while also introducing a product, a curated floral box paired with tea and honey, positioned as a premium offering. That combination of personal content and product promotion is not unusual in modern branding. However, some viewers focused on the production details within the clip. In particular, Meghan appeared to be wearing a microphone, which raised questions about how spontaneous the moment actually was. For critics, that suggested a more structured setup behind what was presented as casual footage. Others, of course, interpret it differently. In an era where even informal content is often professionally recorded, the presence of production equipment does not necessarily indicate anything unusual. Many public figures blend authenticity with careful presentation as part of their overall strategy. Still, the discussion around the video reflects a broader theme. It is not just about the content itself, but about how it is perceived in the context of everything happening around it. book releases, media reports, and ongoing commentary about the Sussex brand. When those elements overlap, even small details can take on greater significance. Look closely at how that video is framed, because the details are what people are focusing on. The flowers are positioned in a way that partially obscures the child's face while still keeping her clearly within the shot. Some viewers see that as intentional staging rather than coincidence, arguing that this kind of composition typically reflects planning rather than spontaneity. Others would say it is simply careful filming in a controlled environment. That difference in interpretation is exactly where the debate sits. If the moment were entirely unplanned, it is less likely that everything would align so neatly within the frame. At the same time, modern content creation often blends natural moments with structured presentation, making it difficult to draw firm conclusions from visuals alone. What has amplified the reaction, however, is the timing. This content appeared during a period when multiple challenges were being discussed publicly, including media coverage surrounding Bauer's book, questions about business partnerships, and broader commentary about the Sussex brand. When those elements overlap, even a single post can take on added significance. There is also a wider conversation around privacy. Both Harry and Meghan have spoken in the past about protecting their children from excessive public exposure. Because of that, any appearance of their children in promotional or branded content naturally attracts attention and scrutiny. For some observers, it raises questions about consistency. For others, it reflects the evolving reality of balancing public life with personal boundaries. Beyond that single moment, there are also broader claims circulating about the couple's professional trajectory. Reports about viewership numbers, business performance, and internal concerns have been widely discussed across different outlets, though figures and interpretations vary depending on the source. Some portray these developments as signs of decline, while others see them as part of the normal ups and downs that come with high-profile ventures. The same applies to commentary about relationships within royal and professional circles. Various accounts, both named and anonymous, have contributed to a narrative that is still being shaped in real time. As with any story of this scale, separating confirmed information from interpretation remains important. What is clear, however, is that the conversation has shifted. It is no longer confined to isolated headlines or individual opinions. Instead, it has become a broader discussion about image, influence, and how public figures navigate scrutiny across multiple platforms and industries. And that is why this moment feels different to many people. Not necessarily because of any single claim, but because of how many conversations are happening at once and how they intersect. So, what do you think? Are these just disconnected moments being linked together, or is there a bigger pattern forming here? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who's been following the story.